Hey everybody, this is a little bit different. I've been doing some more headphone reviews lately, and this is one that truthfully I'm not going to spend a lot of time on. This has been reviewed so many times I couldn't count. I was scrolling on YouTube, and there was video after video after video about this thing, which piqued my interest. Because truthfully, I'm not a Philips fan. Philips back in the day, when I say back in the day, I'm talking like the 60s and 70s, they had a pretty good name in the audio industry. But over the years, they got bought, that changed, and a lot of their stuff just isn't that great anymore. It's kind of like the low-end audio market. But, so I've always kind of shied away from anything that said Philips in the last, say, 20 years or so, right? But I saw so many videos on this, and some were really, really hypey, and some were more technical. This is the Philips. You can see the box there. The Philips SHP 9500. So really simple. There's nothing really to show. It comes with a box. The only accessory, if you call it an accessory, I mean, you couldn't operate it without it, is a cable, and it comes with it's a 3.5. Single-ended, right? One connector in the left cup. The cable's a little bit janky, but it's really, really long, but it works. It works fine. So the real star, though, is these things. And I debated on, do I bother doing a video? Because there's so many out there. But as a slightly different take, I'm going to compare it a little bit to some other things. And maybe get some rocks thrown at me. I don't know. So let me just start by saying really quickly that, the build is really decent on these. And it was better than I was expecting. The metal on here is solid. The band is really nice, really comfortable. And it's like a comfort type band that, flexes down. And then this is soft rubber up in here, or it's kind of like rubber, that kind of rubber foam, like a memory foam almost in there, but it's hard. But I don't know why they even put it there. I mean, it's just one of those details. Why'd you have to do that? But they did it. They get the big R and the big L, and I'll be honest with you, I really like that. The first time I saw these years ago when they, came out pretty much. And I saw that big L and R, and I was like, that's dumb. But now that I've been listening to IEMs and headphones, and I'm constantly going, okay, which one's the left and which one's the right? I actually really appreciate this now, and I kind of like the way it looks. I mean, if you're wearing these, people might think you're, kind of low IQ, I guess, because you need to have a big L and a big R, but that's because they don't understand. Solid. This piece stays in there really good. The clamp force is a little light. Now they're super comfortable because of that, but I noticed they could kind of slip around a little bit. So I wouldn't mind a little more clamp force. And they've got a number right here in the little window. So when you slide it up and down, it kind of tells you you're at 0, at 1. Let me kind of pull that up here where you guys can see that really good. Oh, sorry. Can you see? Yeah, there you go. So you can see the 1 and 2 and 3, right? So you can keep, you know what number you're supposed to be at, basically. So if someone borrows it and jacks it up and moves it all around, oh, I'm on 2, so you just go back to 2. Anyway, the swivel, and it's interesting, the swivel, you'll see there's only one hinge right here. It's not on both, it's not in the center. So they do this kind of like shape right there where they kind of go in and out, but they keep this angle. So depending on your head shape, that could work really well. It worked well for me. Super comfortable. And I wasn't going to do a video. I was just trying them out. But when I heard them, I was stunned, because these were $79. And I almost bought them on, I think, Amazon's Black Friday sale they were having like a week ago. And they were, I think, $59 or $61 or something. They were really cheap. And I thought, no way, that Philips, $59, forget that. I didn't bother doing any research on them. But I saw them. There's a bunch of great reviews. But, Amazon reviews, a lot of times I hear the reviews. I read the reviews. And it's always someone saying, yeah, I had it plugged into my, phone that's like 4 years old and it sounded really good. And I was listening to MP3s, and I'm not knocking anybody who does that, right? But I've gotten to this point now that the difference in sound on a phone playing an MP3, like let's say an iPhone with iTunes, and a dedicated player like the FiO, and FLAC files or DSD files, is a huge difference that is immediately apparent when I listen between the two. And so nowadays I just can't. I mean, if I hear someone doing a review and they say they sound great with an MP3 and their phone, I know that they're not kind of into the hobby the way I'm into it. I guess that's the way to say it. It's not that there's anything wrong with them. That's awesome for them. But for me, I've gotten to this point where that's not good enough for me. Bad or good, that's just the way it is. So back to these things, the build for $79 is like exceptionally good. I mean, at 70, you can wait and find these on sale. I've even found them used on eBay for like $20. I mean, like the cups move this way. It's very solid, the hinges. I don't see them breaking. They're angled and they're open back, and supposedly they have a neodyme driver in there. There's a ton of videos about these. I'm not going to go into too many details. Really, I want to talk about price versus performance and the quality of sound of these things. So one of my habits, I guess you'd say, is I like to get up early in the morning. I get up before the rest of my family, and I grab a cup of coffee and I pop in. Usually, and I've got these here now because I'm going to talk about it a little bit. These are the Fearless Tequila the Fearless Audio Tequilas. These are the one Tequila Sunrise. I'm already thinking about alcohol. It's like freaking 10 o'clock in the morning. These are the Fearless Audio Tequilas, and they're one of my favorites right now. So I'll get up in the morning with the FiO and I'll put these on. And an album that I like to listen to a lot in the morning, there's several of them, but one of them is Norah Jones' Come Away With Me. And I've got a sax CD burned version of that. And it's just her voice, and the recording was so well on that album, or so good on that album. The piano and the bass, the upright string bass in the background, and the drums and the cymbals, everything sounds very realistic on the right equipment, like three-dimensional, like you're right there. And on these tequilas with that FiO, that's the experience I get, like this very visceral, like I hear this in this one song. I think it's I don't know why, it's one of the first songs on the album, at least on the album, the way I've got it laid out on my device. And there's like a little piano, like a little piano hit that they do, and it sounds so realistic. It almost takes my breath away for a moment every time I hear it on this setup. And I was listening to this morning, and I was like, God, these things sound so good. And I thought, let me go grab those Philips real quick, because they sounded so good when I put them on last night. But I was listening to them on the ADI, my desktop DAC amp. And sorry, put those down there. And so I thought, let me listen to these real quick. And I popped them into the FiO with that long ass cable. And right away I was stunned at how good these sound. I'm going to tell you, these $79 as I purchased them for, and you can get them much cheaper depending on how you do it. $79. These are $400. And these they didn't give the same realism. I went specifically to that piano strike that I was telling you about, those notes that are played on the piano keys at the beginning of that song. I went specifically to that place because on these, like I said, it's like it kind of takes me back for a second because it's so realistic. And it didn't sound that realistic on these. It didn't have that same, I guess, timbre and that same three-dimensional aspect, but it still sounded just brilliantly good. The detail on these, all the details that I could hear on this, I could hear on these. The detail is unbelievable on these for $79 headphones. I'm going to tell you, I was off on headphones. Like I was put off on headphones for a lot of years because I had purchased several expensive pair. And when I say expensive, I mean, between $300 and $500. And there's headphone people out there who are going to laugh at that and go, oh, well, good headphones are $1,000 enough. But you know what? The average guy can't afford that. And the average guy is not going to spend $1,000 on a pair of headphones, right? He's got to pay for his kids and food and house payments and rent and all that other stuff. So, that to me is, that's a lot of money. $300 to $500 is a lot of money for something that's very selfish, right? I mean, let's face it. I have a family. I have a wife and kids, and my house is very busy. And I love my family, and I love spending time with them. Audio is something else that I really love a lot, which is why I started this channel. But if it comes down to me giving up time with my family or doing this is going to lose, because I'd much rather spend time with them, right? So it's a little bit of a selfish hobby. Now, they're really great to me, and they give me the space to do this because they know that I love it. So, and I try to do it in the early morning or late evening where it doesn't really affect my family time. But there's times during the day I need to listen to it because I'm trying to get a review out for you guys, and I need to do some critical listening. And so they'll give me the space to do that, but it's still a little difficult because my house is fairly noisy. These, as I was listening to them, and the reason I'm bringing that whole family thing up in the noisy house is that these are open back. And I pulled them out last night to try and do some critical listening, and I couldn't do it. And that's been a problem with the last 3 headphones that I've tested. The Sondaras, the Focals, the Clear, the DT1990 Pros. The DT1990 Pros, it was much better than the other ones in this, but still, they're all open back headphones, and open back headphones tend to sound better than closed back. There's just something about that driver being able to move freely that they sound better, but you need to have a very quiet listening space. When I was trying to do that critical listening last night, I could hear the music, but I could also hear the TV. I could hear my family talking. I could hear noises outside as cars are driving by. I mean, I could hear the dishwasher going in the kitchen. It was all this background noise that made it hard for me to pull out those details. But early this morning, when I was listening, I could hear very clearly all the details that I look for when I'm listening to audio equipment, the signals that tell me that this is something special, right? So I could hear all that detail. And it's not just hearing the detail. I don't want to hear the detail, but it sounds tinny, then it doesn't matter. Give me all the detail you want, but if it sounds like crap, I mean, what good is it? So these produced great detail, but it sounded really good. They produced very good bass, rumbly bass. I'll say that on a few songs, the bass was boomy and was bleeding off into the mids. And yet on other songs, it was fairly tight. So I felt like the bass overall was excellent on these. I'm going to tell you that the detail on these was just as good as the detail on the DT1990 Pros. The DT1990 Pros, of course, those are like the higher end DT1990s. And they have even higher end than that, of course. But those are, $600 as tested, right? I mean, if you go on Amazon right now, a new pair is $599, so $600. These are, $79 or less. These don't sound as good as DT1990s. I'm not comparing them that way, but I'm going to tell you these sound 70% as good as those DT1990s. And I've got the focal clears here still, and I'm going to do a review on those. I actually did it already, and then I deleted it because I honestly kind of hammered on them. I wasn't happy with them when I first got them. And after a little bit of break-in and some other changes, I'm much happier with them now. So I felt like to do them justice and to be fair to focal, I should wait a bit and redo the review. So that's what I'm doing right now. And there'll be a review coming on those soon. But back to, if I was to say, here's the Philips, right? And let's say this is the Philips right here, and the DT1990 is here, and the focal clear is just right next to the DT1990. These things are 70% as, maybe even 80% as good as the DT1990s. Maybe I'll be fair. Let's say 70%. The DT1990s are special. I really, really love those things. The focal clears, they've got a different sound to them, but they're not that much better. They're not, put it this way, they're not $1,400 better. I'm sorry to tell you, they're not. And that's one of the issues with audiophile equipment. And I see it mostly with headphones, is that you can spend, like, let's say I spent 80 bucks, okay? I spent 80 bucks, 79 bucks, 79.95, whatever. Let's say 80 bucks for these. And then I spent 1,500 or so, 14 whatever on the clears. And these sound, I could listen to these all day. These sounded so good to me. I was so happy with the sound of these. I was really stunned that this $80 headphone could deliver sound of that quality, And here's the thing. I ran it just as a test on the Phio BTR5, this little tiny device, right? Like, here's the Phio M11. I mean, you guys know this BTR5 is a tiny little, it's a tiny little device. Yet it powered these things just fine. These things sounded great on the BTR5. Aside from the fact it was Bluetooth and it was cutting in and out from my phone, they sounded great, right? It didn't sound as good as the Phio M11 Pro. And I didn't put this to high gain either, which I could have done. That might have made a difference. I didn't do that yet. So, if you're just getting into this hobby and you're thinking about my next set of headphones and you haven't tried these Philips yet, if you got like $400 or $500 in your pocket burning a hole and you want to spend it on some audio equipment, I would say if you haven't tried these, this is a piece of gear to get. I mean, you could go out and spend that $400 on a lot of other headphones out there that this is better than, way better than. Now, if we're moving into IEMs, you could spend that $400 on these Fearless, and these things are a lot better. And again, it's just the difference between the technologies. This is stuck down in your ear, okay? It's jammed down in your ear, right? So this thing's like tickling your eardrum. So the sound is blocked completely, and it's noise isolated, right? Whereas these are open back, so you're hearing all the sounds around you, which does have its benefits, depending on where you're at. You want to hear traffic if you're walking around outside. I doubt you're going to wear these outside. Some people wear headphones out. I don't see too many people do it, though. But IEMs are kind of inconspicuous. You can have them anywhere. I can sit out with my family and do critical listening with these, and it works great because they're sound isolating, so I don't hear all the background sound. And these it's a superior sound. It just is. And these are easily driven. Like this Phio BTR drives these things like no problem for hours and hours. You can drive these with a phone too, right? They're easy to drive. So there's that. I was going to say, if you have $400 and you want to buy a pair of headphones or you just want to get the next level in sound quality and you really want to up your game, I would say go for these. But if you strictly want to get headphones, why not test something like this? Because they're less expensive, and you can spend that extra $300. You can go buy yourself the BTR5. You can go buy a couple other different DAPs in the market. You can get the Master Office selling the THX amp, right? That everyone was selling that thing on eBay for $700 just last year because no one could get hold of it. You can get it on Master now for like $299. So you could buy that, and you could buy these, and then just feed your phone or some other USB source into that Master amp, and you've got it, right? I'm stunned at how good these sound. Even if the build quality wasn't that great, they sound so friggin' good. But on top of that, the build quality is great. Yeah, the cable's a little janky. That's easy enough to replace. It's just a straight 3.5. It's a little bit long, so you might want to get a shorter one. You could get a little tiny cable that goes from here to here, and then, freaking tape this thing onto the cup or clip it on up here someplace or whatever, and then this would be your Bluetooth headset. But I know that's a little goofy, but you could do it. Technicality. So let's go over some songs. That song I do, the one off the Truth About Charlie album where there's rain at the beginning, I talk about it a lot, is De Cara Ella Pared. Clearly hear the rain dropping into the puddles on the ground, bouncing off the tin roof, the footsteps sloshing in the rain. Clearly hear that, like no veil over it, no nothing. It was stunningly clear. for $80, I could not believe what I was hearing, to be honest with you. Vocals, mids, beautiful on this. Very good tonality, very, very good realism. Stage was very decent on these. I was surprised with that too. Now, there was a couple of songs that it felt like it was right in my ear instead of having stage. And it was more along like some older John Coltrane stuff that's recorded, a little bit differently in the studio back then, the way they recorded stereo. And like when he blew his horn, it sounded like he was like had it up against my ear. So instead of being out and away, which is an effect I get sometimes with some IEMs and with some other headphones. So stage was not fantastic, but was good, and some songs very good. Some more recently recorded songs, female vocals like Alicia Keys and Malia, Candace Owens, they sounded beautiful on this. Bass was so on the Candace Owens song. There was a couple of them I listened to, and the bass felt very boomy, and that could be the way it was recorded in the studio. But when I listen to that bass on, say, the DT 1990s, it feels much tighter. So, something to do with this driver in here for sure. Metallica, Ride the Lightning. The guitar sounded excellent at the beginning. When he's hitting those high notes on the guitar in the very beginning of that song, picking away, it sounded excellent. Rodrigo and Gabriela, guitar on that sounded excellent on these. They don't have that same. So like on the back to Norah Jones, when I was listening to that song, like I said, the piano was so realistic on the Fearless Audios that it's like stunning. And on this, it didn't have that same realism. So I would say that these don't do that audiophile, hyper-realistic, three-dimensional thing. If you're looking for that, if that's where you're at and you're looking for that, these don't really do that. But detail in these is fantastic. There's another reviewer, and he likes to use the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon, the song Run from that, or I'm sorry, On the Run. And that's an excellent song to use for that. It has this woman speaking over a PA system at a train station. And she's talking about a ticket and the dock to be on or platform or whatever. And it's in a lot of equipment, it can be hard to hear that. But I can tell you that with the FiO and with this, I could hear clearly what she was saying. So that's a really good sign as far as detail goes in these. Another reason I like the Norah Jones stuff is that not only just that it's recorded well, but there's a couple of the songs, they start out with a very, it's not, I don't even know what the instrument is. I want to say it's a big cymbal. It's like something between a gong and a cymbal, and it makes this long like sound, this long spread out sound when they hit it. And some country bands have that sheet of metal hanging down, and they kind of hit that. It makes that thunder sound, and I kind of feel like maybe that's what it is. But either way, on the IEMs here, that sounds so good, and it's cymbals in the background, or you can just really hear what they're doing. I could hear all of that on this. It just didn't have the same level of, say, realism. And other than that, I mean, I could listen to these all day. I would say this is one of my favorite pair of headphones right now. These things, and it has to do, of course, with the fact that I paid $79 for them, and I can power them with any device I've got, and they sound phenomenally good, and they're very comfortable. And this cloth on here feels very durable to me. I feel like these are really going to hold up, So I'm just telling you, there's a ton of reviews on these, and you might see, look and go, why am I watching this one? There's like 100 of those out there. You may already have these or whatever. I just wanted to do it because I was shocked at how good these are. If you want to compare, so let's be more apples to apples, since I'm talking about IEM stuff. I have let's see, where is it? Yeah. So here's the Urban Fun, right? You guys know the Urban Fun. If you're in this hobby, you do. Right? So let's kind of get that up. There's the Urban Funs. These are close to the same price. They're like $69, $70. I think I've seen them as high as $80, $85 or something, but they're close to the same price range. And if I had to choose between either one of these, I would take these. These are more realistic in their representation of the music, like the Fearless Audio are. And the bass on these is very good, very, very tight, and it just feels like it's in the right place. Everything always feels good with the bass on this. But there's something about these that's, I want to say, musical and is very enjoyable to listen to. So between these two, I would choose the Philips. I just like, I really enjoy listening to Urban Funds, but this should be called Have Fun at the end of its name, because this was fun to listen to. I super enjoyed listening to music on these. I could see myself walking around with these on my head when, like, if no one was home and I was walking around all day just wanting to kill some time, I could definitely do that with these. They sounded excellent. And, you know, they got that long cable. I can plug them into my stereo. They come with a 1/4-inch adapter, so, you know, I can plug them into the home stereo. These, you know, you could do that, but kind of weird. Yeah, I would take these over the Urban Funds. And the bass is a little bit better than the Urban Fund as far as the technicality of it, but overall enjoyability, these are more enjoyable. Well, that's it. That's all I want to say about these. I hope this helps you some way if you're looking for something to spend money on. And you may notice too, my last few videos, there's a lot of like out of focus and blurriness. So I got a new lens. I got a macro lens, a Sony macro lens, and you can see that when I get up here to the thing, I can get really close now, get really detailed, and no fuzziness, no out of focus. So I should be making some better videos going forward. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Take care.